Hi, Carl.
How you doing, Volker?
I'm doing great, thank you. And yourself?
Not too bad at all.
Awesome. Okay. They had a long. Are we the only ones here?
Nope, it's there's a lot of people on the call right now. Yep. I just got everyone muted right now, and then I'm gonna do a startup.
Okay. Then I wait for it.
Okay, guys. I am gonna get this started, so I'll let people in if they join as we go here. Well, they just keep coming in. So just so you're all aware, this is a Canada-wide video seminar. I have with me today Steve Sobadash, who's our head trainer out of the US office. And he will be doing the presentation for you guys today. What we ask is that he's going to go through the presentation, what he has planned. And then when the presentation's done, please feel free to ask questions. We'll have a question and answer period. For some people, you've seen maybe the presentation before in some other trainings. If you have not seen the presentation before, again, feel free to ask questions. Doesn't matter what they are. If you don't want to try and remember your question, feel free to use the chat at the top of the Teams there. Put your questions in the chat, and then when we get to the question and answer time, I'll go through the chat and actually look at those as well. So what I'll do is I'll let Steve take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. Glad to be with you today. Thanks for joining. Excuse me. Today, we're going to go and introduce our newest plural component mixing machine, the Cyclomix EVO. And in its current state, it is continuing to evolve and will be adding features and capabilities in the not too distant future. We will start with the specifications of the EVO. It can be used as a 1K for just tracking consumptions, or 2 and 3K for component mixing. Has a capability with base solvent and compatibility with base solvent, acid catalyst, polyurethanes, and epoxies. The unit is capable of up to 99 different products, consisting of your A, B, and C components combined with solvents. So anything up to 99, this machine can handle. You can log up to 250 different recipes with ratios ranging from 1% to 200%. Flow rates from 50 to 7,000 cc. The EVO can mix material up to 3,000 centipoise and is feeding 2 circuits up to 240 bar. There are smartphone apps that can be used in both Apple and Android. The control box that is controlled by using is touchscreen interface, and there is also a remote box that is controlled by using magnets. External communication can be done with either Ethernet, Modbus, Profinet, or CC-Link. And there are also 4 different password protected management screens: operations, maintenance, distributor, and administration. You can also calculate production and maintenance data that can be printed off or viewed. The naming of the jobs can have up to 12 digits. Our EVO base model is standard with the previous Cyclomix Micro. Is a compact manifold and controller, allowing 2 A-side, 2 B-side components, along with 2 gear flow meters, a mixing block, and static mixer with elements. Our standard 3K machine comes with 5 A-side color change valves, 2 B-side, 1 C, along with 1 A-side solvent and 2 B-side solvents. It will have 2 gear flow meters, one mass flow meter, and 2 regulators with pressure gauges. This unit will use 4 mounting plates to create the entire manifold. The EVO is the most modular mixing system Samez has ever developed. You can create your own specific version of the EVO by adding mounting plates and modular components. This allows for many changes to your system during its lifetime and replaces the previous Cyclomix Micro and Multi, with our existing Cyclomix Expert still available for special customized systems. It will also eventually be replaced by the EVO system within the next few years, but until then, the EVO is still available for special situations. Speaking to the modularity of the systems, the amount of color change in injection valves, filters, or fluid regulators can be added, along with pressure gauges and sensors. You also have a selection of flow meters to choose from and can select 1 or 2 gun management. Next, we have some of the main configurable parts. There is the entire injection block, the injection valve itself, the injector tip, different versions of flow meters, filters, and air piloted regulators. For our meters, since we provide both standard and pH versions of the EVO, there are 303 stainless meters and 3/16 L stainless steel versions for acid catalyst. Mass flow meters for 3K, and in the future, a choice of fiber optic flow meters will also be available. Now for the most impressive aspect of the new EVO system. The patented mixing block is a compact stainless steel block to help with pressure loss, allows easy flushing, and comes in both 303 and 3/16 L stainless for the pH versions. The vertical alignment of the paint circuit on the manifold allows easier flushing and accessibility for maintenance than our previous Cyclomix Multi. The patented mixing method is called Swirl mix, which we will explain in a moment. It provides real-time adaptation of the injection, regardless of flow rates, allowing for precise, reliable mixing, regardless of how many guns are used, and can continually run production without faults or alarms. Now to explain our patented mixing process. The inlet orifice of the base side is eccentric, which means off-center, to the hole or port. This creates a swirling effect as it passes into the mix block port. While the catalyst is applied via injection spray using a version of our air mix tip nozzle. This mixing method is opposite of previous ways. The catalyst is sprayed first, then the base catches it in its swirling motion. This creates a better dynamic premix of the material, allowing less length of mixing. The EVO injects on a time-based process instead of flow-based. This is called gain. These processes are proprietary and patented. In any of the internal studies that were done by our factory, method was found to not need a mixed tube, as the material was sufficiently mixed without using mixing elements. We would never suggest this, but it goes to show the thoroughness of this mixing method. The injection block itself is designed with minimal parts and simple maintenance upkeep. The injection valve sits on top with the injector tip mounted underneath, threaded into the block. There are mounting ports for the A and B test valves and the air chop on the sides of the block, with needle valves running for batch material and ratio testing mounted in the front. The fluid inlet fittings, along with the air chop fitting, are actual cartridges that are mounted with screws instead of threaded into the block. Behind each fitting is a ball and spring check valve. As stated earlier, all components are easily removed for quick maintenance and cleaning. The new version injection valve is the exact version of our airless ASB gun. It has a quicker activation time than the previous CTM style injection. There are 2 lubricating ports to help keep the shaft and cartridge clean of paint buildup, and there are 2 versions of needle cartridges in both PTFE and GT style. With the shaft made of 3/16 L stainless steel for better longevity when used with acid catalyst. Also, the cylinder cap is significantly easier to remove and install than our previous CTM cylinder injector. The injector tip, as stated, is identical to our air mix gun tips with a seat, seal, and screw holder. The tip is carbide with a stainless steel seat holder injector. The size of the tips are identified on the seat holder itself, just like our standard air mix tips. They come in 3 different sizes of carbide: 0.61, 0.76, and 1.04 millimeters, with a 2.0 in 3/16 L stainless, which is standard for any acid catalyst version. There's only one compact Cyclomix EVO control panel. It has a 7-inch touchscreen for any version of the EVO. There's an additional panel with extra solenoids that can be added to allow 35 more pilot valve outputs. This control panel can also be configured to upgrade existing Cyclomix micro systems, allowing more functions and ease of use than the micro controls previously. A booth-mounted control box is also available for operator use inside the booth. The main control screen has 6 different function categories and is intuitive and easy to use, even for the most inexperienced users. There is an automatic mode for simple parameter settings, which allows quick startup time after all configurations are entered. The access can be password protected to allow different levels of access for operators and management. Preventive alerts for maintenance levels allows for less downtime due to part failures. Now, regarding the simplicity of the automatic mode, operators will enter how many components are used, the mix ratio, and the pot life. The EVO will then manage all the mixing, production, and flushing parameters from that point on. For technicians or operators that are more experienced, there is the ability to manually adjust all parameters for more physical control. With the Cyclomix EVO, there is a new paint optimization method by spraying new mixed material directly following the solvent and current recipe material. You can also push color with color, pushing current material with new material. Both of these options can result in anywhere from 3 to 10% less paint consumption. Part of the configuration and ordering of the EVO is the addition of mounting stands for both the fluid panel and control box. There are also clear protective covers that can be purchased to safely surround the manifold. Now to show some of the optional equipment that can be incorporated into the system when ordering, or that can be purchased after the sale. The EVO inlet air must not exceed 6.5 bar or 95 PSI. And this air regulator kit shown with ball valve, gauges, and filter can make controlling this pressure that is supplied much easier. We now have mini inline filter assemblies that can be added to the EVO. These mini filters allow for quick replacement and cleaning. They use the same style screens as our Excite gun filters and can be used in place of or in combination with our super filters. There are two versions of dump valves that can be added. One for positioning over a waste barrel, and the other for if you cannot position over the waste barrel and would allow the supply hoses to be flushed after priming. Next is a tremendous new feature allowing two-gun management. The standard allows the operation of two guns, and then there's a version with independent flushing. Allows the ability to flush one circuit while continue to spray with the other. Then begin spraying with one gun while the other gun is priming. The last few options are atomizing air and flush boxes. You can order separate boxes to control the atomization air for priming and flushing of the guns, or an automatic flush box, which allows priming and flushing when it comes to pot life management. It has been designed to work with several different guns, our F Pro and F Start, along with the Excite guns, S Flow, and the electrostatic nano gun. Another great feature of the EVO is that it records paint consumptions. All valve operations and paint volumes, along with the pressures running through the system. Soon there will be the ability for cloud-based information storage. It will have a dashboard with shareable information that can be used to control the status of wear parts and help the customer and distributors to adapt their inventory levels. You can access the data by inserting a USB memory stick into the control box. A download screen will then appear and instruct the user on how to retrieve the data. And lastly, there will be a smartphone application for both iPhone and Android. As long as you are within the internal Wi-Fi, the apps can allow, with password permission, live views of production and access to maintenance and consumption data, allowing stop, start, and flush of the machine, along with control of all valve outputs. You can also reset consumptions and fault alarms. Another function coming soon is the ability to log in with a PC and monitor different functions of the EVO from anywhere in the world, as long as you can connect to Wi-Fi. And this is hopefully coming along with cloud-based information storage in the next, hopefully, year or so at the most. So now that you know a little bit about the EVO and its capabilities, let's look at a few things in comparison to the competition. Graco is the main competition in this market. They have the PD2K and the 2KS. Wagner is also up there. Their units are the 2K Comfort and the 2K Smart. Carlisle does offer the IntelliFlow series machines, but are a lesser player in the market for SAMS. For some comparisons, we will use the Graco and Wagner machines. Total components for SAMS is 99, as stated. For Graco 2 and 3K, there are only 37, and with Wagner 2 and 3K, only in 50 and 60 components combined. The Wagner unit does have 4K capability with up to 80 colors, which EVO does not. Graco only allows one solvent per component, and on the PD2K, the maximum pressure is only 105 bar, whereas the EVO allows up to 240 bar. The Wagner cannot handle low pressure pH level material, whereas the EVO and Graco versions can. When it comes to injection, Graco uses sequential dosing, injecting B into A inside a mix tube. This can cause difficulties in mixing with changing flow rates. Wagner's mixing is similar to the EVO, but does not have an injector to direct the catalyst into the center of the stream, which can cause what they call sidewalling of the catalyst, which makes it very difficult to get a proper mix. Speaking to the HMI touchscreens, the EVO has the largest of the three systems, measuring at over 15 inches in width and over 9 inches in height. Lastly, while on the production screen, the EVO has all the data shown and is clearly identifiable, with the possibility to zoom in on the flow rate and the ratio readouts, where neither the Graco nor the Wagner units can do this. The biggest advantage SAMS has over the competition is once you configure a unit over 3 colors. Our addition of more product raises the price in minor increments, whereas with Graco, you must move up to a whole new tier of machines that could add $50,000 or more. So that concludes our introduction to the Cyclomix EVO. Okay, Kyle, I didn't get a chance to look at the questions, but is there any questions that came through? I kept hearing some.
There's a lot of people did join late, so that was some of the noises we were hearing, but no questions have been entered in the chat. But there is a, so feel free, guys, if you want to type in the message box, go for it, ask some questions there, or just so we don't get people talking over each other, you can use the raise hand feature, and I can check for that as well. It's at the top of the screen. Otherwise, if you're good with everything, then feel free. Thank you for joining today. I'll see what comes in here. How often would the injector valve need to be lubricated, and what is the process? So with the injector valve, you can add a, what I think, Steve, if you don't mind going back to your presentation to that slide, there's actually a picture there showing you can just put in 2 syringes and fill them with lubricant T or lubricant P, depending on what materials you're running. So down in that lower picture there, just 2 syringes into 2 push tube connectors, or you can do a little loop with some tubing as well. You just want to get some lubricant sitting there, and then you can pay attention to if it starts to get dirty or not. But it's an option there.
Yes, and we use here in our office, we actually use just tubing, just a couple strands of tubing about 4 or 5 inches long, and then we inject the fluid in that and put little caps in the tubing, and basically see through so you can tell where the levels are. But this is the feature that we've been wanting to add to our valves for a while, and finally with this ASC style gun trigger valve, we were able to do that.
Yeah, it helps creating not only just the lubrication side of things, but it creates an air barrier as well. Oh, I'm getting some
Yes.
feedback there. I've got, so Benny just said catalyst ratios for 1% and up. I haven't done a 1%. We've done 3 and up. But Steve, I don't know if you've seen anyone as low as 1% yet.
Not with this unit, no.
Okay.
No one's called that.
Aaron Foster has his hand raised there.
The air mix tip that where the catalyst is injected, how often should that be replaced? Would that have to be really pay attention to it? So like as the fluid moves through it, the catalyst moves through it, like
it's all going to depend on use. I mean, if this thing is being used 24/7, then you're gonna have to monitor it more. But if it's being used one shift or every other day or something like that, you'll get a lot more life out of it. But it's going to determine on your flow.
Well, is there a sensor that will sort of let you know, like, hey, it's ejecting more than it's supposed to be?
Well, you may get to the beforehand. You're going to get that it may have a warning for the flow meters that it's going a little faster. So you may get that. But to tell you the truth, these have been out for about 1.5 years. I don't know if I've heard of anybody having to actually replace one yet.
I'm thinking it's gonna, well, especially with the, so just to make a point here, there's different versions available, right? So if you're getting a pH one, it doesn't have the exact same style of tip as you're seeing in the picture here, because it's 316 stainless steel. So that's going to be very similar to the micro and how they've lasted, and we almost never touch them. But it is something that is also, if you look at the preventive maintenance screen, it'll give you an idea of the lifetime as well on the injections. So something to check when you do the service there.
Yeah. It's just something that we haven't seen or expect to see much wear in the first couple of years, I would say.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sorry, there I was coughing.
Oh.
Preventive maintenance alerts pre-programmed. So, yes. Sorry, Steve, can you take over there?
Yeah.
On the chat.
Where are we at here? Yes. You set the program for the alerts and the amount of time. You can set it by various ways. You can do it by volume. You can do it by injections for the valves. But you set the amount that you want your maintenance levels to be, and it'll pop up on the screen whenever you hit that level. So all your preventive maintenance, I think there is some preset parameters in there, but you can go in and set it for however you want. You want to set it for 1,000 cc's or 10,000 cc's, or for when it comes to valves, if you want to do it for 100,000 activations or whatever, you can do that. So everything in preventive maintenance you can set. And once it gets to that level that you have set, it will pop up. It won't fault or anything. It'll just come up on the screen telling you that you've reached a level that you set.
Just to sure I understand your question fully there, could you maybe come on and explain?
Which one is this?
Is it possible that the check valve at the base of the injector block is completely closed?
Can become completely closed? I mean, if it's not flushed, and there's always a chance that material can get it to stick, but you'll throw a fault then because you won't have any movement. But it is, if that's what you're asking, it can get, just like any check valve, it can get, if it's not, the material isn't being flushed or constantly moving, it can close up or stay open. Does that answer the question?
I'm not sure if Lon here. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, Christian, you're still there. If you want to unmute, then maybe you can.
Yeah,
yes,
it's okay, Kai. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. Any other questions?
Kyle, I have one. It's Ronaldo. Hello?
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. If you have a high viscosity product, and how is that again can help that in the system? Can you set that gain higher or play around with that? How is it work? Like, I need some more information. I got information, but I need some more.
Okay. So it's a proprietary thing, so it's tough to get into a little bit of everything. But what they do is they look at the volume that's passed through. Then it's calculated by the base corresponding volume according to the ratio. Then when this volume is passed through, that's when they open the injector. So it's based on time. The idea is to have an injection time as short as possible in order to be as close as possible to a continuous injection. So it doesn't really matter how viscosity it is, it's the flow. Doesn't matter how much it's flowing through. It registers and figures out how much it needs to, or how many times it needs to inject per that flow.
Okay, and what about how long? Because if you put it higher, obviously it's gonna, it's a question I have, like it's gonna wear more of the parts, right? I am assuming because it's working faster.
You mean the valve itself?
Yes.
The frequency, yeah.
It's a frequency.
Yeah, I mean valve. If it's working to the point where it's like a machine gun going off, yeah, you're going to wear it more than just having it set to where it's opening and closing enough to just get that shortest possible injection.
All right. And what about like if we have as normal, comes from the manufacturer, 125 gain, and you have that high viscosity and doesn't go through the machine as well as the other product, what would you do in that case? We ended up we sold one, and we ended up like putting the pressure on the pump a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's supposed to be like, but I just want to know why it doesn't work with the pressure that we have in the pump as set, like lower, not high, like, you know what I mean?
Well, Ray, in that situation also had a feed issue there, which we increased the diameter of the fluid hose feeding to 3/8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we did that, but why
Okay.
it doesn't work with a 1/4 inch, right?
Well, different materials are only going to flow so much. So we know viscosity was definitely in that specific.
What was the
instance
viscosity?
was the issue. It was 1100, I believe, 11 or 1200 on a
okay.
primer. And if we reduce the primer 10% ahead of time, it was no issue. So it's when it was full bodied that it did give us some fluctuations.
Okay.
So Ray found that.
Go ahead.
We were just having a hard time maintaining pressure on the outbound. and we could
Okay.
see it on the inbound gauges. So Ray found that increasing the gain and increasing to 3/8 feed hose solved the situation.
Yeah. It'd be nice if everything was exact science, but unfortunately, some things you have to play with, like you said, volume, gain, sizing. There's all kinds of things that may have to be adjusted to sometimes get certain products to run.
Okay. The other question I have is, how does that help having filters? I mean, go regulators, sorry, in an intake before the gauges for the base and the catalyst.
So
That-
for
Steve,
Steve, just so you're
pilot
aware,
Okay.
in Canada here, we typically don't put regulators prior to injection. We typically
Oh,
put
really?
them after. We do full pump pressure of what we're asking for, and then we
Okay.
come in instead of having a cost reasonings.
Okay.
Instead of putting 2 regulars there, we do 1 reg there.
Sure.
And it reduces the amount that the customer needs to touch 2 regulators and find that proper ratio as well.
Sure.
But so I think in this case, it's possible, Ray, that may have been a benefit to having regulators to settle down the product at a certain pressure before the flow meters.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I haven't ever experienced here in the U.S. doing it that way. I'm sure there is people that do it, but any of the installs that I've seen, especially with this machine, I have not seen it.
Okay. Yeah, you answered my question now. I just want to know a little bit more about, how those things works. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
got it. I got it. All
Okay.
right.
Well, thank
So
you. Thanks for the question.
another one before you go. That the injection there, the tip. What's the size again for that tip?
Let's see. I think I got the screen up here. Is my screen still up? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So you get there's 4 sizes altogether. 0.6, 0.7, 1.0, and a 2.0. The 2.0 that comes standard, and it's the only one we use with pH, is 3/16. But there are 4 different sizes of injectors you can restrict your paint with.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. No problem. Anything else come
Volker-
across the?
Yeah, Volker recommendations on cleaner best to use to flush the catalyst. That's totally dependent on manufacturers' specifications on their products. We can't say what to use for cleaning it. It's got to be the recommendation from the coatings.
Yeah, some coatings, even though viscosities and flow rates and everything are the same, they're just more difficult to with their formula to clean. So some manufacturers suggest real harsh solvents, and others don't need it.
Is it,
Sticky valves can be alleviated if you do the lubrication process as well, because you don't have air coming in to see that and give a reaction to the catalyst if it's a polyurethane, let's say. So the lubrication syringes on the injector would be a help there for sure.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, guys. No other questions? Thank you very much for joining today, and thank you, Steve, for your presentation. If you do think of anything, please feel free to email Steve or myself,
sure.
and we'll help you out.
And we'll answer or give you a ring, whatever you need, and we'll try and get you situated and helped out. So appreciate everybody joining us today. Everybody have a good day, good weekend. Thank you.
Have a good weekend, guys.